through IAM permission,
Sorry.
navigating through IAM permissions in AWS. So let's get started. So can you go to next slide, Amit? Yeah. So this is about me. Can you like go to the next step, next slide? Yeah. So the today's agenda is like we will first understand what is IAM service. Then we will see what is IAM misconfigurations, how the IAM service can be misconfigured in a way that it could allow an attacker or an hacker to get an access to your AWS environment so that he can do tasks such as attacking your environment, disturbing your applications, stealing your data, and doing unprivileged kind of tasks and creating EC2 instances for uh, for the crypto mining and all these kind of illegal activities, how they can do these kind of operations on your AWS account. Then we will see a practical demo on how we can get an access. uh, we will first understand that, and then we will see how an attacker how we will do a hands-on demo on that, how to get an access to an AWS environment. And then we will do a privilege escalation to getting a privileged access on that account to become an administrator from a normal user. And then we will see some security best practices, how you can secure your AWS account through these kind of attacks and these IMAs configurations. So let's start. So as we all know, IAM is an identity access management that is allow AWS customers to manage identities in their AWS account. So it is a very first line of defense in your AWS account. Let's say if you have signed up for an AWS account, let's say you just created an AWS console account. So the very first service that you interact and authenticate as yourself is a IAM service. So by default, when you create an AWS account, it is a root user that you use to create. So that is also an IAM user, and a root user is a topmost user which has all the access to your AWS account. So within IAM service, so since IAM is an identity and access management service, it is a security kind of service. So with this IAM service, you can define who can access what resources, under which conditions, under what conditions, and how they can access, for how long they can access, and these kind of things you can define using the IAM service. So IAM is a very crucial and important service because every entity inside an AWS account and every identity inside an AWS account is using IAM service and presenting their credentials uh, as to get authenticated, and then they use this service to make an API calls to other services. So that's a basic thing about IAM service. That what is IAM service? Yeah. So inside IAM service, we have different uh, we can say subcomponents. So inside IAM service, we have IAM user. So IAM user, as we discussed, it is also an identity. So let's say I have a company. Let's say Hamid has a company of Hamid. Let's say Hamid has a pseudo company, right? And Hamid has a team of developers who are building some applications, right? So inside Hamid's team, there might be some developers who need access, or a group of developers. So what Hamid can do in order to give them access to the AWS, since they are a person, developers are the person, not an application or in service. So since they are person, Hamid can create IAM user for those persons to get to provide them access to his AWS environment, right? So what Hamid can do is, in that case, Hamid can assign some permissions to those users and provide them access to the AWS services. And also, sudo, since sudo is a big company, sudo might have different subgroups, sub teams inside a company. Like they might have security division, they might have audit team, they might have a developer team, they might have testing teams. So what Hamid can do in that case, he can create IAM groups. So IAM groups is also a subcomponent of IAM service uh, where you can do segregation and where you can do grouping, right? Let's say there are team of developers, so you can create one group and assign all the groups inside that, all the users inside that group, and you can manage permissions on the group level instead of assigning permission to each user one by one. So that's about it. uh, an IAM user can be presented with the you can assign an IAM user, you can create an IAM user with the programmatic access and console access as well. Next thing is IAM role. So let's assume one scenario. Let's say you have one application. Let's say Hamid's team is building some application. Let's say that there is one React application, and there is that React application is getting some data from the pulling some data or uploading some data to the S3 bucket. So in that case, instead of creating user and getting programmatic access in that scene, what you can do is you can create one EC2 role, and then you can assign permission to the EC2 role, so that application hosted over the EC2 service or over the EC2 server can access the S3. In this case, since the scenario is to access one service from another service, in this scene we can use IAM role. So IAM role is basically another kind of an identity uh, where when services and application needs access in between, so you can create IAM role in that case. So this is about IAM role. And then next thing is IAM policy. So IAM policy is a JSON document which has a few statement which defines few so IAM policy is a JSON document where you can define permissions, like what actions a user can perform on what services, what resources. So inside IAM policy, there are statements. So inside a statement, you can define what a user or a person can do, or what a role can perform what actions. So IAM policy is basically a JSON object which defines what permissions can a user, what actions can a user perform. So next is since so this was the basic demo about the this was the basic introduction about the IAM service. So what I have is I have one scenario. So let's perform an hands-on demo. So what I have is I have created one S3 bucket and hosted a static website over it. So in my case, what I did is I created my own environment in my own AWS account to perform this activity. So what I did is I created one S3 website and hosted it on the I created one sample HTML website and hosted it on S3, and that website is making some calls to the API gateway in the backend. For that, I created one IAM user with programmatic access and assigned him
Sorry.
a policy to access API gateway. Right.
Are you supposed to share your screen in this?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay. So you might want to try again sharing your screen
Mm, Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm just
I am.
sharing this presentation.
Yeah. Can you stop?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you can try sharing the entire screen rather than a window or something.
Yeah. Is my screen is visible? I think it is
Yep.
now visible.
Yep. Yes, it is. Awesome.
So what I did is I hosted one S3 one website on S3 bucket, right? So I have this S3 bucket. Inside this, I hosted this website, right? So the basic scenario is what I'm trying to say is this website is publicly visible, right? This can be accessible publicly. So this has this we have this website. So what I'll be doing is, since this website is public and this S3 bucket is also public, so what I'll try to do is I'll try to get access to it. Like I'll try to run some commands over on my Kali Linux machine to check what objects does this S3 bucket has. So uh, I would highly recommend you should not perform all the actions whatever I'm showing to you. You should not do this kind of things to any other environment or any other website, because it's totally illegal. I'm doing is because this is my own AWS account and I'm aware about it. Like what so I have permission to my AWS account, so I would not recommend you doing this kind of things to any other public hosted URLs. You might caught into some some legal activities. It is totally illegal. So let's discuss further. So so what I did is I have one EC2 Linux machine, Kali Linux. I hosted one Kali Linux machine. I will be logging into it. So is my terminal window is visible?
No,
No.
Okay,
I think just share the entire screen so it's easier.
okay. Now is it fine?
Still nothing.
I
Now
think
we don't
entire
see
screen.
anything.
Okay, I'll share windows one by one. Okay, no issues.
Okay, now we are able to see your browser.
Okay. CLI is not working actually. SSH client session manager. Hmm. I'm not able to actually share the full screen. Uh, what I have is I only able to present that only browser window is visible when I try to do.
Okay, so
Yeah,
from here, you try connecting. It's not working either.
One moment, I try to reconnect. One
Sure.
moment.
Maybe you can download the Zoom client on your machine and start from there. That might help.
yeah, if the browser does not work, I think that will be faster.
In the meanwhile, I don't know how many of you have tried this, but Zoom is having this cool avatars that you can create. In case if you haven't tried, maybe it's worth a shot. Of course, it lacks all the cool things, but it does work. It is mimicking my facial movements completely.
I think I'm not able to share the entire screen. Like, I'm not sure. Okay, we can try one more thing. Let me check.
You can download the Zoom client maybe. I thought you were disconnected when we first suggested this, so that might be faster.
Okay, one moment.
Okay.
Okay, Zoom client. Okay.
Meanwhile, Prithvi is downloading the Zoom client. How many of you like have a security background? You can just let in chat and let us know in the chat if anybody wants to share that. Basic, okay. Cool.
Is it just on AWS or it's in general when you say the basic or the
You removed your avatar, man. That was looking wonderful.
Okay, sure. Getting back to that.
Once I move from my mobile, I will definitely do it. So
Yeah.
actually, my security background was is a little bit recent. I mean, although I've been doing this, but recent certification ISC2 and then AWS few things. I mean, for some of the customers in UK and US, I'm mostly working for the customers UK US for such kind of personal endeavors.
Oh, that's nice.
So, by the way,
So
to keep the momentum of everyone, I mean, if from a security perspective, ISC2, if people go on ISC2 website, there is a free training available for the security, which is general
That's
purpose, and there is a free exam voucher as well.
maybe can you put the link in the chat for everyone?
Yeah, I can just Google. In fact, I passed the exam 3 months back. The exam is not easy; it's difficult. I can share some tips as well. I can also share the link for everyone's attention.
see, that's the benefit of having these meetups.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you will not know.
actually, now the professional exams. Just for a tip for those guys who are interested in professional security exams, most of the architect exams are more. If we see, these are more tactical. I mean, from the tools, it looks more into the technology perspective. So if someone has done this ISC2 training, and he has some good knowledge of AWS security paradigms, like what is the policy, what is the role in AWS, how you can assign permission to a service instead of a person, and how you can edit the policy. If someone is well aware of these things, then he can easily pass the exams. Roles and the basic concepts of, if someone has good basic concepts of IAM, and he can give the permissions across the account, within the account, he can play with roles and policies and procedures. Most of these things are very, very I mean, I'm just taking this time to help, I mean, to keep the momentum up. I don't know if I have taken the floor or mic without your permission, Hamid, but just
No,
to
no, all
keep
good, all
the.
good. No, no, this is
Uh,
a community meetup. So
mm,
this is a community meetup, definitely. And
yeah,
this is
and
like a very good information that you are sharing. Very, very
mm,
useful.
yeah. So I mean, the exam which I passed, the first associate exam, I felt that exam was more related to the AWS technology, and the security component I passed. I mean, practically, when you go to AWS, and you create an AWS free account and you start playing with IAM, so one can easily understand the components. What is the role? What is the policy? And what is the user? And how you can play it? And then, if someone has a good understanding that how cross accounts permissions can be given, what is the AWS organization, and what are the users under the organizations, and how you can and also I mean, with Microsoft services like Active Directory, if someone want to integrate it with AWS, I mean, he want to import AWS Active Directory users to AWS and define organization level permissions. That's a very interesting topic, and that can help passing the exam. So these are the some of the basic tips. And also, I have shared this ISC2 things. So if someone is for me, if I feel that if someone want to pass the architect exam, then it's good to go for AWS basic training, and such thing like ISC2 trainings. These are free trainings for, I think, 10-12 hours training. But with this, it will be much easier for someone to pass the exam. So I mean, so that was my 2 cents. And I think we have some practical demo back, so I will put myself on the mute.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you for sharing this information.
Oh.
Yeah, over to you, Prithviraj. I think you're on mute.
Hey, sorry, I was speaking on mute actually.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was speaking on mute. So sorry for the technical glitch. We can now start. We can now restart it. Yeah. So what I have done is I have this public URL of my S3 website. So what I did, I created one Kali Linux machine on my own AWS account to perform some commands and some operations in order to find what does this bucket has, right? So in this case, since it is an S3 bucket, there might be conditions that this application might be hosted on EC2 server, and there can be lot of scenarios, and it can be hosted anywhere, like the application traffic might be coming or going through the load balancer. In this case, this is the only S3 hosted website, right? There might be some IPs or other things as well. In this case, we have this S3 bucket. So what I'll do is I'm consider myself as a hacker I'm not aware about what this website has. So I came across this website, this URL on the internet. So consider let's going through with that scenario, right? So consider myself as a hacker. I got this URL. What I'll do is, first, there is one tool. There is one tool that is name is FF. I'm not sure how many of you are aware about it. It's a FF is a fuzzer. It's a fuzzing tool for hackers. So what FF is does is, FF is a tool which sends some request to an endpoint. Let me show you the FF tool. So FF is a web fuzzer tool which is written in Go language. So what FF is do is, FF takes one URL and sends some request to that URL based upon word list. So in hacking world, word list is something where you define different words. So let's say if you have one website, so what a website or a project typically has is, it has index.html, env file, it has app.js, it has different files inside project folder. So when a website is hosted, so what happens is, you typically allow all of your website folder contents. Let's say if you have a hosted application over Apache web server, so in that case, what you allow Apache server is you grant Apache server to access triple W folder slash vas slash triple w slash HTML folder. Inside that folder, Apache, whatever you put inside that folder, that will be presented to that will be available through the browser URL, and that will be presented to your user. It's a general like we all might aware about this, right? Uh, Feel free to unmute yourself and ask me questions in between if you face any doubt. So what FF is the FF takes one URL, and inside FF you also define one word list. So word list has a list of words and combinations that can a website has, right? So let me show you by one example. So let's assume that we have this or AWS website, S3 website hosted. So what I'll do is, I have installed this ff command on my this Kali Linux machine. So you can easily install ff by running some sudo apt commands, or there is one uh, installation steps also. You can follow this. So what this ff command is will do is, it has this -w option to define one word list. So I have a word list inside this folder, that is file list. So let's see what this word list has. So word list slash file list dot txt. So I have two word list. Let's see what this word list has. So this has combination of files, right? All of these are words. So let's say in a website folder, you might have contact page, about page. You have some different files like logo, CGI bin, images, indexes. So all these are the file names or folder names. So what this first tool is do, it will take each of these word. It will take first this index word, then image, then download, then 2006. It take all of these words, and it by taking these words inside this file, it will send request to this URL, right? And then it will replace this index word with first, then it will send this request, and then it will replace it with images. So it will go one by one and replace whatever the word presented in the word list with the slash fuzz. So fuzz is a kind of, you can consider it as an argument or a variable which will be replaced by which will be replaced in every iteration. So this will run these many times, right? This will run till 6. So inside word list, you can have all these kind of combinations, right? So this is very short word list. There are word lists which has, I saw some word list on the internet which has millions and trillions of combination of words and files, right? So this is word list. This is short intro on word list, what a word list is. So what I will do is, I will just send request to the S3 bucket, right, on this URL. So, so I got this URL and there is one website is working, right? So I will send request here to this S3 bucket. So I will this option is mark code. So what I do is mark code is 200. So I'm telling the first command f command to only mark 200 codes. Whatever so whatever the request it will send to the URL. So there might be some chances where when it sends request to the URL and that file not be present. Let's say if profile file is not presented there, or there is no file with name as 2004. So that request will fail. So once that request is failed, it will return error code, something like 400, 500, and this kind of error code. But when the request matches, it will return 200 code. So what I'm doing here is I'm telling this command to mark this 200 status code, right? So after making every request, it will take the status code and it will mark this status code. So now I will run this command. So this command will run and it will send approximately it has sent 253 requests. So 253 are total words presented in this file, right? 253 are the total words presented in this file, and it has sent 253 requests in just few seconds. So what it has done is it said that it has find two files. One is app.py, second is env file, right? So like that, I will go through with another file as well. So I have file 2 also. So I will try to run the file 2 as well. And you might have lots and lots of words and different word lists to try and test it. So I did this. I run this file 1 txt word list also. And I found that there is one index.html page as well. So on a hacker machine, from the hacker machine, hacker identified that there are in total 3 files, right? So how can we validate that all of these are files exist or not? So let me show you my S3 bucket. So I have this S3 bucket, right? Any doubts till now? So I have this 3 files, right? So let's assume one scenario like my hacker got this all this kind list of all these 3 files. So what I did is later on I will try to since I have these files, so I will go one by one and see what these files has. So index.html first. So index.html is the same file, I think. So it's the same file. Second, I see what the second file has is env file. So after making request to the env file, I saw that this env file got downloaded, right? Let's assume this file got downloaded. And if I open this file, what I see is it has access key and secret access key. So let's assume one scenario, like if in this way, your access key and secret access key got compromised to some attacker, what he can do with these access key? He can do lot of things with that. He can do privilege escalation. He can perform anything. He can do anything, whatever he want if that user has privilege access. So since my hacker got this env file, which has this access key and secret access key, I will try to see what this access key and access key has, secret access key has permission. So for that, what I will do from my machine, so I'm an attacker, I got this access key and secret access key, I will run AWS configure command. After running AWS configure command, what I will do is I will configure this secret key and secret access key. I will do this. And then region name is AP South 1 and then fine. So our attacker got the access key. First he run first command, ff command, and after fuzzing, he got he understood that there are 3 files One is index.html, second app.py, and third is env file. After making request to these files, uh, one by one, he was able to download the env file. And after downloading the env file, he is now configured that access key and secret access key to his own machine. Now from here, what I will do, I will see what this access key user, what this user has permission. For that, I will run command AWS STS get caller identity, right? After running this command, this command told me that there is one user inside this account, and that username is API user. So what developer did is developer created this API user to call APIs from the API gateway. So that front-end application is making some API calls to the backend. Let's assume that scenario. And for that, to access that uh, access key, they have put the access key inside env file, and from their index.html or from their application, they are accessing that access key, secret access key, and making API calls to the backend, right? And so here in this scenario, we got that this username is API user, and this is the ARN of the user. Now going forward, what I will do is I will first check what permissions are assigned to this user. So I will again run AWS. Okay, I will try to run some commands to check what this user can do. So we will see IAM get account summary. So it is saying that this user does not have permission to get the account summary, right? After this, we will try to see what permission does this user have. For that, I will try to run list attached user policy on API user. So I have run this IAM subcommand list attached user policy, then hyphen hyphen username, then API user. So yeah, so it is saying that this user has permission to invoke API gateway, and it also has one custom policy. So after looking at this, it looks like it is predefined policy from AWS. And after looking at this, I see that this is a custom policy, right? So what I will do, I will look into this policy, like what statement does this policy allow, and what permission this policy has, right? For that, I will try to run AWS IAM get policy version and hyphen hyphen version. So let's say by default, when a policy is created, it has version 1. So like that, a policy has in total 5 versions, right? A policy might at a time, a policy can have up to 5 active versions. So I will try to get the policy version. So what it is saying that this policy can perform actions on can perform IAM action create policy version. It can list attached user policies. It can get what a policy user has, and then it can also get policy version. So in this scenario, this IAM policy create policy version, with this action, a user can create new policy version with new statement, and it can also set that policy as a default policy, right? So let's see how we can do that. So for that, I will run AWS IAM create policy version command. So we will make an IAM policy create policy version. Okay. Okay. Before that, since we can create new policy version, that means we can assign administrator policy also, right? So in this account, what we will do is we are escalating our privileges as an administrator user, right? For that, let's say we have, what I'll do is I will go to the AWS IAM, and I will look into policies administrator access. So I'm just copying the JSON. So we will try to escalate our privileges as admin user. I'm not assigning administrator access from here, right? We have this API user. I'm not assigning administrator access from here, right? I'll show you how you can do it from your how you can do it from here, CLI, right? So what I'll do, I will create one nano admin hyphen policy. I'm creating one JSON document. I will paste it, Control X. Yeah. So I have this policy admin policy.json. What I will do is I will create new policy version. And while creating this policy version, I will pass this policy document, right? So for that, I will do AWS IAM create policy version. Then I have specified the ARN. I have specified the ARN of the policy. Then I will pass the file as admin policy.json, and then I am setting this policy as a default policy, this policy version as a default policy version. After running this command got successfully executed. So what it is saying, that it has created new policy version, that is version 3. So I will try to get this policy version 3. Now we can see that we have escalated our privileges to admin user. That means from now onwards, we can do whatever the actions we want to perform. We can perform anything. We can create EC2 instances. We can delete the data. We can download the data from AWS. We can steal the data. We can do anything whatever we want. So so this is what I'm trying to say, right? This is what I'm trying to show. When I'm trying to now try to run this AWS get account summary, we can see that we have this account summary also. Previously, when we run this command, we get this error: get account summary operation is not allowed. So what we did is we first got this we first run first command. After that, we got to know that these many files are there on that URL. We have downloaded the env file, and after that we have seen that how an attacker can get the env file and access key and secret access key, and how he can uh, escalate his privileges to an admin user, right? So this is about it. When I try to refresh it, when I see I am user policy, this policy got updated. When I go inside this policy, there is one new
Sorry to cut
policy
you.
version. Yeah,
Hello, Priti. We
yeah,
might want to just speed up a little bit because we are like at the top of the hour. So if
yeah,
you can speed up a little bit so we can complete your presentation.
yeah, sure. So so this is what we did is we created new policy version and set it as default version. So now whatever the actions is performed by this user, this policy version will be applicable to his, not this policy version. So in this way, what I was trying to show is how a attacker can get access to your AWS environment, how he can download the data from your website, how he can get to know that what data a website can have and what are the files a website URL can have. So how in this way you can secure your AWS account, right? By so this is so after the demo, I will disable my access key and secret access key, right? So we will see how we can prevent these actions, right? How we can prevent our AWS environment, right? So Hamid, can you share your screen again, my presentation?
Oh, okay, sure. 1 second. I will do that right now. So presentation. Are you able to see the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I will go to the next screen, escalating privileges, security best practices.
So, okay. So what are the security best practices and how you can avoid these kind of attacks from happening in your AWS environment? So so in this demo, what we saw is uh, there is one uh, there is one file that is env.txt, which has access key and secret access key. So let us understand why how we were able why that env.txt was created. So what our developer is did is they have uploaded the file to the S3 bucket directly, right? Instead of that, what they can do is, since the S3 bucket is making request to the API gateway, what they can do, they could have directly assigned permissions. They could have grant S3 bucket access, right, to access the API gateway instead of directly using access key and secret access key. Let's say in another scenario, you might have your application hosted over EC2 instances. So instead of uh, embedding your access key and secret access key inside the code, right, or instead of uploading access key and secret access key as in .env or env file to your server, you can directly assign permission to your EC2 server to as an IAM instance profile to get access to the another AWS service. Also, code sanity means is instead of directly embedding access key, secret access key inside your code, you can uh, like instead of directly putting into the code and applying it to pushing it to the GitHub, you can do code sanity, where your access key and secret access key should not be directly visible, right? Apart from that, we can follow least privileges principle. For example, in this case, since API gateway permission is required to access API gateway, in that case, other permission like create policy version and other permissions should not be assigned to a user. In that case, we can follow least privilege principle. Also, we can avoid permanent access. So let's assume a user want to call some AWS services. So instead of allow for some temporary purpose, so instead of allowing him permanent access and granting him permanent access, you can allow him access for a shorter period of time by using federation, IAM federation, or other mediums. Also, you can restrict regions in your AWS account. So let assume you do not use some of the regions. So instead of allowing all the regions, you can restrict the regions. So even in case of your environment get compromised, so hackers will not perform any actions on other regions. So let's assume hacker might create some EC2 instances in other regions for crypto mining and other purposes. Additionally, you can use IAM access analyzer service. Next slide. So also you can use AWS Guard Duty service. So IAM access analyzer is service offering by AWS, which automatically applies least privilege principle. It with you using IAM access analyzer, you can centrally review access, you can refine your permissions for your users, and you can validate IAM policies also. Next slide. You can also use AWS Guard Duty, which is an ML powered service for security. So AWS Guard Duty is a regional service. So once you enable AWS Guard Duty, it will monitor your AWS account. It uses AI ML services. It is an ML powered. So what it do is it will takes the log and monitors the log from different data sources like VPC, CloudTrail logs, RDS login activity. So it performs analysis on all of these logs, and it will provide recommendations and reports for that. So this is about it. Going forward, if you have any questions or doubts, you can ask about first tool or FF tool or word list or any actions that we perform in this. If you have any doubt regarding that, you can ask.
Awesome.
Mohammed,
Great
you
presentation.
wanna? I think we have a question in the chat.
Okay,
Mohammed is
awesome.
asking, with using condition to restrict IAM role, would that help?
Sorry, come again.
So there is a question in
With
the chat. If we use conditions to restrict in the IAM role, would that help to restrict the IAM role permissions?
You can use conditions like you can unmute yourself and you can clarify. Like I am not getting it.
So let
Mohammed,
me try to do that. Let me try
Uh,
to do that. Okay, yeah.
uh,
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Mohammed.
hello. It's clear.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah. What I mean, for example, I create a rule for some service. I want to make it a condition, meaning true or false. Meaning, I want only for explicit user or group can be used that service. Meaning, anyone try to access it, to permission it, try to use it, will be denied. But the original users or group can be used. Meaning that's what I'm asking, if the condition will be help when restricting the any action or action in the rule. That's what I meant.
Okay, so Mohammed, what basically happen is what when you create a user, by default, all the actions are denied by default. So when you create a IAM user or a role, by default, all the actions are denied by default. So what you can do, you can explicitly allow what services that group can access. Additionally, you can use IAM permission boundary also to restrict the usage.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, for Fuse, but in Fuse can be it can catch something like user agent or HTTP or anything for web applications.
So for web applications, you can let's say uh, so if your web applications are hosted on any AWS service, you can use IAM roles directly, right? Let's say if your web application hosted on Amplify service, then directly you can assign roles or permissions to the Amplify service in that case, or yeah. So if your services are hosted on AWS, you can directly use. But if your services are outside of AWS, then you can use IAM Federation identities, where you can also leverage Cognito service as well for authentication for your web applications.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
We have another question. If we create an overlay permissive policy and does not mark it as default, will it be valued by IAM over policy version 1? Can you let me know which policy gets applied if not marked as default? So if we have multiple policy versions and none of them, one policy is marked as default, what happens to the other policies that are not marked as default?
So only the policy which is marked as default will take effect, right? Other policies won't take effect. For that, you have to set default version so that whenever you make an API call, it will get effect. It will get.
Any more
Do we have
questions?
any other questions? Yeah.
Feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, you guys can also unmute yourself as well. And also, Raven shared the WhatsApp link in the chat. I'm sharing it again just in case if you guys are not in the WhatsApp group. It's a very nice, small AWS community from UAE.
Can you explain a little bit for an IAM analyzer how to validate the policy? How's the
So,
process of validate the policy? Can you explain to me?
so if I start showing you that, it would take 1 more hour or so. So you can follow the AWS documentation, getting started documentation for that. I apologize for that. If I start showing you that, it will take 4 more time.
Maybe like we can just answer briefly. But I didn't get the question. What is the question?
So the question is how we can validate policy through the IAM access analyzer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is no answering it briefly. You will have to show the demo.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This
Okay.
was the question, right,
There is
Mohammed?
another
I'm not.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
There is
one for
another question.
validation. I want to know a short brief, meaning how to use it, how it can validate the policy if that one is a genuine or not, or there will be false or corrupted. That's what I want understand that part. That part.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
So
that, yeah, sorry to cut you, Preeti. Maybe what I was saying is that might be a good topic for the next meetup. What do you guys think? I am Access Analyzer. We do the full demo, how to use it, how to make your policies effectively secure using IAM Access Analyzer.
So basically access analyzer will give you security suggestions. It will validate
Hmm.
the policy. It will show you the errors. What are the errors are in your policy if they have any JSON syntax error. Also, it can suggest you what if the policy is over permissive or not. So these kind of policy validation IAM access analyzer does for you on a on a
Okay,
on a higher level.
perfect. Perfect. So I think we will do the IAM Access Analyzer in the next session, hands-on demo on how to use IAM Access Analyzer to make perfect policies. Okay, any more questions?
Hey everyone, Hamid, Revant, and
Hi, sir.
Prithviraj session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sabia. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabiha. Thank you, Sabiha. Any questions regarding Kali Linux or hacking tools or anything like that? Uh, any questions on that apart from AWS on security? Because we have Revant as well to answer.
Yeah, sure. Either if you have something you can ask here or you can reach out to us on public platforms. I have shared Prithviraj's LinkedIn, so you can reach out to him in case if you want to ask more questions around IAM.
Uh, yeah. Also, I'm again want to say that please do not perform these kind of activity on any third-party link or uh, any other publicly accessible URL. It is not a legal thing. Okay, I just showed you because I wanted to promote I wanted to promote safety over this cloud environment. So do not do perform
It's
this
only
kind
for
of
the
actions.
research purpose. It's only for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
research
yeah.
purpose.
It's only for the research purpose. It's a kind of a defensive security, not offensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so for the next meetup, we are going to have it as physical meetup, right, Revant?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe instead of like regular places, we can try something new.
Yes.
And Hamid,
Yeah,
what is the frequency of this meeting?
it's I think every month, right, Revant?
Yeah,
Is
we are planning to
this is
do it
our
once
plan?
either offline or online or maybe alternative.
Yeah, maybe a mix. Usually security meetings or security meetups are a little bit boring, but we will try to keep it interactive and fun. So next meetup, we are planning to do it on a yacht. I don't know if it's a good
On a
idea or
yacht?
bad. You guys can let us
On
know.
yacht?
Yeah,
On
yeah.
yacht?
Weather is good. Let's meet on the yacht. Why not?
Wow,
It
great.
will be fun.
Excuse, can we in virtual so I can participate in the meeting? Is possible?
Sorry.
Can we be the meeting in virtual because I'm talking from outside Abu Dhabi, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. No, so definitely every meeting we will try to also have a live session as well. So it will be available online to keep people who wants to join from outside of UAE, they will also be able to join. But we will also try to meet physically as well to make them more interactive so we can know each other more personally and discuss the security related topics as well. So there will be online presentation and obviously the physical meetup as well.
Thanks.
Okay.
We'll
There
try
is
to
one
record as well,
question.
and then we'll share it on LinkedIn and other platforms. So in case if you cannot attend it, like we'll try to make sure the content reaches out to you.
That reminds me, I have to stop recording this one.